Report.
Boeing CEO David Calhoun will be stepping down from the company at the end of the year as part of a broad management shakeup following a series of mishaps. Boeing has been under pressure since early January when a panel blew off a new 737 MAX. EU regulators have opened investigations into Apple, Google, and Meta. It's the first cases under sweeping new law designed to stop big tech companies from cornering digital markets. This could be a relatively quiet week on Wall Street. Markets will be closed on Good Friday. For today, a lot of red. The Dow lost 162 points at 39,313. S&P off 16 at 5218, and the Nasdaq fell 44 points, 16,384. For the Wall Street Business Report, I'm Jason Walker.
News and analysis at townhall.com. I'm Keith.
On Point Weather is made possible by our friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union on 107 The Point.
Here's tonight's forecast. Cloudy overnight with a low temp dipping down to 46. Tomorrow, mostly cloudy with a small chance of some late rain. The high is up to 72. Wednesday and Thursday could be pretty wet. Storms and some heavy rain possible. Things get real nice, though, on Friday. The weekend looks wonderful. Sunshine and highs in the mid to upper 70s. I'm Cal Moss with your On Point local weather.
WQXL Columbia, W264DF.
Grills, outdoor kitchens, and fireplaces. Spring Sizzle starts with Bart. This is 107 The Point.
Please press button now. No, that number's bigger than the one I said.
This is Sports Talk with Phil Kornblut and Chris Bergen. Sports Talk is heard across the state on radio affiliates of the Sports Talk Media Network and is streaming live on SportsTalkSC.com, as well as Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. The South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number to call in is 888-898-2525. That's 888-898-2525. Now, here are Phil and Chris with tonight's edition of Sports Talk.
All right, welcome in, everybody. It is Sports Talk Media Network. Great to have you with us wherever you're dialed in around the state. Hope you had a terrific weekend. A great day today, back from Memphis. Some say Memphis, Tennessee. I've spent too much time in Tennessee. You know, there's a song George Strait did, you know, all my exes live in Texas. That's why I hang my hat in Tennessee. It's kind of how I felt after being in Nashville, then back in Memphis to watch Clemson. How about if you had Clemson reaching the Sweet 16? Well, first of all, pat yourself on the back. But really, Clemson in the Sweet 16, Chris Bergen, could you have foreseen that based on what we saw the Tigers the last 3 or 4 games of the regular season and the ACC tournament?
No, coming off the Boston College game, I didn't think they'd get out of the first half for their opening round game against New Mexico before being blown out. But props to Brad Brownell and the Tigers. He said they went back to work, and they took that loss personally to Boston College, and they were trying to improve, and they were working on things to get back to where they were. And we saw the team that went to Alabama and won earlier in the regular season. We saw the team that was really, really good at non-conference play. We saw the team that beat North Carolina in Chapel Hill this past weekend. They trailed for 4 minutes out of the 80 they played. I mean, they were just outstanding, just outstanding. And Tiger fans, I want to hear from you now. Are you finally convinced Brad Brownell is the right guy for the job? Because, Phil, all we've heard the last 3 months is, well, he can't coach. He's not any good. We need to make a change. What else has the guy got to do? Graham Neff, extend the man. He's earned it. He deserves it.
Well, if they don't know 14 years in that he's the man for them, then they're never going to know. But I don't think Neff's going to do anything until after this run is over, whenever that happens. He was there. He was there for both games. He was there for the press conferences, had a chance to talk to him a little bit. I asked him what league they're going to be playing in next year. And he said, you see who I was sitting next to during the game? This would have been Friday night. He said, you see who I was sitting next to? I said, yeah, everybody saw you sitting next to Jim Phillips, the ACC commissioner. He said, that's right, I'm sitting next to the ACC commissioner. In other words, we're in the ACC, and that's where we're going to be today. But, you know, Powers, I'm sure, over his head are making decisions about Clemson's future as they litigate this stuff with the ACC. But, you know, great weekend for Clemson. I don't think they can play any better. They They just took both of those teams out of their offenses with their defensive prowess, and it was a Clemson team that had to deal with foul issues with P.J. Hall and also with Shefflin yesterday. There was a time that both of them were on the bench with foul difficulty. They built big leads in both games. They did not let the lead evaporate against New Mexico. They nearly blew it. They nearly blew it yesterday, and it just goes to show you in basketball how crazy it is. So in the case of that game yesterday, the lead's down to 2, and Clemson turns it over, and they foul an 81% free throw shooter, and he goes to the line with a chance to tie, and he misses both. And Clemson gets the rebound, and they foul a guy who's a 56% free throw shooter for Clemson, Godfrey, and he goes to the line, and he makes both of them. He gives Tigers a 4-point lead, and they get 2 more free throws, and they go on from there. So it's just, I'm sure when Baylor got to within 2 and got the turnover and got the foul, I'm sure they were thinking, okay, we're going to tie this thing up, and we're going to overtake them, and we're going to put them away. But the basketball gods were on Clemson's side. When that happens, really, you have to look up to the sky or look down to the ground, wherever you want to look, and say the basketball gods were on our side when an 81% free throw shooter misses a pair and a 56% free throw shooter makes a pair like that. That is huge. Now, may
I interject, though? Because I think where Baylor actually lost the ball game, and you touched on the foul trouble that Clemson was in the first half, I think that's where they actually lost the ball game. They had a chance with Ian Shefflin and P.J. Hall both in early foul trouble with 2 fouls. Hall didn't play the final nearly 7 minutes of the opening half, and it wasn't long after that Shefflin got his second personal. But Baylor could never cut into the lead, Phil, and Clemson did a terrific job of keeping them at bay and actually pushed the advantage to 10 by halftime. I thought that was the key stretch in the game. If Baylor was going to get back in it, because they were out of sorts throughout that first half, but then they got the 2 big guys off the floor and had a chance down inside and couldn't do a thing against Clemson. And the Tigers, I think, the last 7 minutes of the first half won that ball game, despite, as you mentioned, Baylor's struggles at the free throw line in the second half. But Baylor shouldn't have been in that position. They should have taken command of that ball game late in the first half, could not do so, to Clemson's credit.
All right, South Carolina women, of course, they took care of their business very, very easily. Hardly broke a sweat in winning their 2 games over Presbyterian and North Carolina, so they advanced to Albany, New York. Or do they call it Albany? No, I think it's Albany. Albany, New York, where they will play either, Oklahoma or Indiana?
Correct.
In the Sweet 16. Find that out tonight. Now, the other news, though, the news that kind of trumps everything from over the weekend, this afternoon, USC guard Michi Johnson announces he's in the transfer portal, John, and he's going to test the draft waters once again, but he's leaving South Carolina, and, you can't get mad at him. You can't do it. You can't get mad if you're a fan. You can't get mad at him if you're a media person covering the Gamecocks. I mean, it's the way of life in college sports. They come and they go. You got him out of the portal. You think that he's part of the family. You think that you've done everything. You've NIL'd him, et cetera, et cetera. But they have the freedom to leave when they want to. And so this is what I was talking about last week when talking about the Gamecocks. At least that particular day last week, looking at that roster, you would say they got a pretty good team coming back. But you don't know what the roster is going to be tomorrow. And so now, along with the 3 who we know are leaving, now throw a 4th in there. And this one really hurts. I mean, Michi Johnson was sort of the heart and soul of that team, leadership-wise, scoring-wise, energy-wise, ball handling, defense. Yeah, pretty much did it all. I don't know that he's an NBA player. He keeps dilly-dallying with the NBA. Now, I'm no NBA scout, but I can look at a basketball player and kind of tell if they could make it. And he might with his work ethic and determination and maybe some improvement here and there. I think he goes into too many extended periods where he can't make shots. Maybe that's because he's shooting so many deep shots, but he goes into extended periods where he can't make shots, as we saw this past season. But that is a blow, Chris. That is a blow to Lamont Paris, that you're losing your leader just like that after the season when you think you've got a good group coming back. That really stings.
Your point about not getting upset at players, I think is valid. I'm frustrated from the standpoint I enjoyed watching him play, and I think he made South Carolina better. And our show is better when the Gamecocks and Tigers are good. So it makes our job more difficult when they lose a player of this magnitude. But if he transfers back to Ohio State, can you get upset with him there? Or is it a Gilbert Edmonds situation where you accept it because that's the nature of the beast now, where players will go away for a year, you rent them at one school, and then they'll go back to where they started? Because it wouldn't surprise me in the least if he ends up back at Ohio State now that they have a new coaching staff in place.
Really?
I don't know this. I have no inside information whatsoever.
Well, Dave Dickerson he resigned today at Upstate to become the associate head coach.
Correct.
At Ohio State, assistant coach, associate head coach. But and the NCAA tournaments, he talked so much about being close to home, playing in Pittsburgh. You wonder if that had any influence on his thoughts. I'd like to get back closer to home to finish out my career. Can't really argue with him if that's his thinking. But I would be fascinated to see if he does end up back at Ohio State. You wonder if there was tampering going on. Has somebody offered him a bigger deal? You don't know what's going on. I don't want to accuse all players, any player / all players. I don't want to accuse them of having their hands out. And I say that because I run across a lot of high school players, obviously interviewing them on the phone, talking about their recruiting, and 99% of them just seem like kids. They just still seem like high school kids. They're not caught up in the I want the money sort of thing. Maybe the problem is they get people around them. Maybe the kids are naive, but they got people around them who are maybe a little more worldly, and they see what's going on. They're going to say, look, you got to go get yours, and you got to go get yours, and part of yours will be ours, and so they hold out for the biggest bidder. I don't know if that's the case here. I don't know if NIL dollars came into play. What's shocking to me is that, I thought that the chemistry and the culture that Lamont Paris had in the South Carolina locker room was a good one, is a strong one. I'm a little surprised that a leader in that locker room would up and leave at this stage of his life, this stage of his career, considering what he helped build and the legacy had he come back to South Carolina for another year and had another good year and they go to the tournament, the legacy that you leave behind. Maybe that's not important to people today. Maybe that's not important to some kids. But I'm just a little bit surprised that he would leave, considering what looked to be a very strong relationship with Lamont Paris and the others in that locker room.
Well, I'll throw another name that I just saw come across that's jumped in the transfer portal today in a similar boat. New Mexico guard Jamal Mashburn Jr. has entered the transfer portal. He's the guy who played at Minnesota before transferring to Mexico. You saw him play against the Tigers. I mean, he did exactly what Michi Johnson did, helped lead his team into the NCAA tournament. Now, New Mexico probably has a little more basketball tradition than does USC, or at least recent tradition, but nonetheless, I mean, here's a guy who had an opportunity to go play and guide his team, and I would think unquestionably one of their leaders in their locker room, and he's decided he's going to transfer, and it doesn't say anything about whether or not he's exploring the NBA opportunities as well, so he has entered the transfer portal, I guess a similar boat that what Michi's in.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, listen, we should not be – I hear what you said earlier, but I am just no longer surprised or shocked by any of these moves the players make. Just like I'm trying not to be shocked by moves the teams that my professional teams that I follow. When they waive a player, cut a player, trade a player, or sign a player, I try not to be shocked or surprised, because that's the nature of the game at the professional level, and it's now the nature of the game at the collegiate level. It just has different words. They describe it in a different way. But, players have unfettered free agency in college. Can you believe that? They have unfettered free agency. They can come and go as they please. Now, I don't know how that makes you feel if you're a NIL giver and you send money to a particular player. You want your money to go to a particular player. You've hired that player to do spots for you. Maybe you feel like you got your money's worth. If your team had a good year, the player had a good year, he decides to up and leave. Nobody said it was a lifetime contract. Nobody said it was a contract for more than 1 year. So when you give your NIL dollars to go to a particular player, realize the fact that it might be taken and run with. Whether you feel like you got your full bang for the buck remains to be seen. Who was the coach the other day? It was one of the basketball coaches. I retweeted it. Do you remember? He was speaking at the NCAA tournament, and he was talking about a player leaving, and he said, yeah, he came, he got his NIL money from us.
Oh, yeah.
Who was that? Who was
darn.
that?
Iowa's coach, Kirk Ferentz.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's right. Talking about the offense. That's right, the football coach. Talking about the big offensive lineman who transferred from Alabama to Iowa, then left and went back to Alabama.
Went back to Alabama.
So, yeah, he came, he got all our NIL budget. And basically, he was saying, stole our NIL dollars and then went back to Alabama. Well, I mean, that's the risk you run. It's a crapshoot out there. And right now, there are no rules in place to keep a player in place, just like there are no rules to keep a coach in place. Dave Dickerson ups and leaves from upstate to go to Ohio State. Stanford just hired a coach from somewhere else. I mean, these guys, they break their contracts, and they do have to pay typically buyouts. There are buyouts involved in their contracts, but they don't mind. Either they don't mind paying it, or the school that's hiring them does not mind paying it. So the players feel like, and you know what? I can't begrudge them, really. They feel like they should have the same freedom, and they do have the same freedom. They have more freedom because they have nothing. They have nothing tying them down now. All right, real quick, too, we got to mention baseball. What a wild and wacky weekend on the diamond it was.
I mean, it's just remarkable. If you're a fan of baseball in our state, you can't ask for much better than what you got. Gamecocks came out, and coming off that weekend at Ole Miss, where they had a chance to win Friday nights and didn't do it, and ultimately lost the series and battled back to win Sunday, you thought, boy, this is not the way to start SEC play. And then you get Vanderbilt rolling into town, number 3 team in the country that's won 19 games already this season and just on a roll, and you think, boy, this is going to be tough. And the Gamecocks just knocked them all around the ballpark. I mean, dominant from start to finish on Saturday. The pitching that they got starting on Saturday with Eli Jones, who worked a perfect game into the 7th inning, memory serves. And then the bats came alive for them in game 2 of the doubleheader. And then yesterday they scored 6 runs in the opening inning. It's pretty much over. And then you have a freshman run out there and pitch as well as he did in Pittsburgh yesterday. I mean, the Gamecocks pitching staff was tremendous against Vanderbilt. Just really shut down that offense. And what can you possibly say about what Clemson did over the weekend? I mean, run rule Florida State in the opener, then have to come from behind 9 runs down, score 8 runs down, score 9 runs in the bottom of the 9th inning to win, thanks to a grand slam by Blake Wright. Stop me if you heard this before.
Yeah.
And then yesterday, they're down 11-2, only to rally back, and part of it was fueled by grand slam by Blake Wright, who is this week's National Player of the Week. And quite frankly, Phil, if he continues to play the way he is, they're going to have to make some more room out there in left field where they hang the banners about their Golden Spikes Award winners, because this guy is clearly the front runner right now. I've never seen a player start a season, and especially here in the last 2 or 3 weeks, hit as well as Blake Wright is. I don't know why anybody pitches to him right now.
Yeah, he's red hot. No question about it. One more note here. This is from 94 Feet WBB that says that Graham Neff has his new women's head coach, and they say expect an announcement tomorrow. The board is to meet to approve a new contract. They don't give a name. Have you seen the name?
I have not seen the name. Graham Neff has done a nice job of keeping that very, very quiet, especially if he's about to make a major splash hire on the women's side.
Yeah. Interesting. Okay. I should have asked him while I saw him there in Memphis.
Because my guess is he already knew who it was at that point in time.
I would guess so. If he sent a contract to be approved to the by the board, I'm sure it'll pop out somewhere. Somebody's going to find out and put it out there. Okay, phone number 888-898-2525. That's the South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number for you here on Sports Talk. Let's go ahead and jump into the phone calls. We'll hear from Brad Brownell. We'll hear from Dawn Staley. And then 7:30, turn our attention to college baseball. Jim Toman just a bit outside here on Sports Talk. Hank in Columbia, welcome into Sports Talk. How are you?
I'm doing fine, Corn.
Yes, sir.
I ain't gonna let you do that. I can't let you do that, Corn. The same energy you come with us. Played us under 10 points, and North Carolina's a good team, and it's the Tar Heels. I can't let you get away with the women just handling their business. They gutted North Carolina like a fish.
They did do that.
and they shot 80% from three in the first half. I mean, that you got to get.
It's amazing.
I had to let
amazing.
you give some more energy than
Simply
that.
amazing. Okay, hang on a second. Hang on a second. All right, more energy. Okay, here we go.
Yeah.
And the USC women just dropped the anvil on the Tar Heels. They kicked them up and down the court. I've never seen a performance like that on a basketball court in all my years of watching hoops. I think it's the greatest collection of basketball talent in the history of the game. What was Dr. Naismith thinking when he set this game up for men? He should have set it up for women to begin with. They're obviously better players than men, and the USC women proved it the other day. They're going to win the national championship. I don't think they'll give up 40 points in a game the rest of the season. How's that, Hank?
That's just disingenuous, Corn. If we beat North Carolina in this ball, if we beat North Carolina in badminton as much as you hate it.
Well, wait till Clemson beats North Carolina in the Elite Eight to make the Final Four. If you want to hear something.
Oh, I know. Yeah, you gotta have it. I'm just saying. I didn't expect.
Listen, there's an expression in the news business. There's an expression in the news business. Okay, dog bites man is not a story.
Nope.
Man bites dog. That's
Big
a story. So the South Carolina women beating somebody by 50 is not a story anymore because they do it routinely. Now, I will say I was a little bit surprised at the margin of victory over North Carolina. I thought the Tar Heels would put up a little bit more of a fight.
The most impressive part, and then Hank, I'll let you jump back in here, was the bench production. I've never seen a bench outscore another team's bench 51-0.
Oh.
I mean, Carolina's bench.
They did that earlier this
year,
though. They did that earlier this year against a team. I remember talking about it on the show. The
All right,
bench production was something
let me backtrack.
Zero. Yeah.
I've never seen a bench outscore another team's bench in the NCAA tournament 51-0.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, what they did yesterday, and Dawn Staley, and you'll hear it when we get to her comments later, she was asked if they had played a game as well as they did yesterday, and she couldn't think of one this season. She said that was as well collectively as they have played all year. And if they get that kind of effort, there's nobody on the planet in women's college basketball that's going to stay close to them. They're just that much better than everybody else when they play like that.
Well, Hank, were you happy? All I'm concerned about, are you happy? Were you happy? I'm concerned about your happiness.
This is what you should have said, Chris. You had a bench that outscored the other team totally.
Exactly.
The bench outscored North Carolina. They outscored North Carolina's bench and starters. I just wanted to.
All right. Thank you, Hank. Thank you so much. Appreciate that. 888-898-2525, South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number. Let's go to David over in Lexington for our next call. Couple lines are open if you want to join us on this Monday night. David, welcome in. How are you?
Hey, I'm doing great, guys. Thank you. Don't worry, Corn. You gave women's basketball its due attention. You gave its due amount of energy. Don't worry about that. Don't apologize. I'm sorry.
Thank you.
When I saw Clemson come back from the two miracles at the Doug, and I saw my Avalanche come back from 4 down to beat the Pens 5-4. Then I'm watching my Tigers play Baylor.
Yeah.
And I thought, you know what? When the lead whittled down, I thought, you know what? I've used up all my sports credit for the weekend. I've used it all. It's gone now. It's going to go away. They're going to choke it here at the end. P.J. Hill's going to foul out in his last game. He won't even be at the buzzer there. But luckily the Tigers had just enough in the tank to get it done. And I constantly get more and more amazed at Shefflin. I mean, that dude, he should not be a basketball star at a D1 school. He looks like the guy who should be at the bar watching the game on TV, not playing the game. But it's just amazing what he's done. As far as Brownell goes, I've always been in sort of the fire Brownell camp, but I did make a pledge many, many, many years ago. I said, if any Clemson coach goes up to Carolina and wins, lifetime contract.
That'd be North Carolina. You mean North Carolina?
Right, the Carolina, yeah.
North Carolina.
So I figured, yeah. So if they ever win there,
in Chapel Hill,
lifetime contract.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So he's done it twice. So just for that reason alone, I guess I got to say we got to keep him. But
lifetime contract.
Twice.
Yeah, lifetime.
He's done it twice. I mean, think of the things Brownell has done for all the grief he's taken at Clemson.
Right.
He's the only coach to get you to the Sweet 16 twice. Only coach to win in Chapel Hill, and he's done it twice. His record in ACC play over the last 5-6 years is very commendable. Yep, they lose games that leaves you scratching your head, no question about it. But you know what? I think you're seeing him coach at his best right now. Watching him run his team the last 2 games in Memphis, watching his work on the sideline, his directing, where the ball needs to be, where they needed to be on defense. I mean, he was dialed in. That team was connected.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what coaches look for, right? They look for connection, and that team was connected out there.
Yeah, and on another, I tried to temper all my Carolina fans, South Carolina fans this season. I kept saying, guys, look, I know you got a lot of wins, but you really have to be honest and look at the schedule you played and be honest about it and look at it. I had friends telling me, we're going to be a 3 seed, 4 seed at worst. I said, no, look, you got to look at the record. You got to look at the strength of schedule, and they just weren't willing to look at it. And I think it panned out. I think they just found out that it was sort of a Potemkin village. They really had not played a very tough schedule, and I think he did that on purpose, knowing he was in transition. But we'll be curious to see what kind of schedule he makes next year.
Well, I mean, I thought their schedule this year was pretty respectable, Chris. They go to Alabama, they win. They go to Memphis, lose by a deuce.
No, he's talking about South Carolina.
I'm sorry. Okay, I got confused. Yes. I would imagine they might step it up schedule-wise.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
The one thing I liked about Brownell, as you were talking about coaching his team last night, he jumped P.J. Hall big time when P.J. picked up, I think, his second personal foul. That showed, if he's going to get on our best player, where does that leave me?
But
I got to go play too.
He also made the comment afterwards that he felt that he himself made a mistake with the way he handled P.J. I think by taking him out so much and making him sit so much. Back after the break.
On Point Weather is made possible by our friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union on 107 The Point.
Here's tonight's forecast. Cloudy overnight with a low temp dipping down to 46. Tomorrow, mostly cloudy with a small chance of some late rain. The high is up to 72. Wednesday and Thursday could be pretty wet. Storms and some heavy rain possible. Things get real nice, though, on Friday. The weekend looks wonderful. Sunshine and highs in the mid to upper 70s. I'm Cal Moss with your On Point local weather.
Do you like trivia? Do you like pizza? You're going to love Thursday night at the Mellow Mushroom Pizza Bakers. That's right. Mellow in the Vista and on Sunset in Lexington have live hosted team trivia every Thursday night starting at 7. Trivia buffs of all ages can compete for Mellow cash and swag in our fun and funky digs while enjoying specials on amazing pizzas, apps, sandwiches, salads, and over 100 beers from around the world. You've still got your long-term memory. Use it at the Mellow Mushroom every Thursday in the Vista and on Sunset in Lexington.
News. I'm Keith Peters reporting House Republicans are threatening to hold Attorney General Merrick Garland in contempt of Congress if he does not turn over unredacted materials related to the special counsel probe into President Biden's handling of classified documents. Congressman James Comer and Jim Jordan demanded in the letter that Garland comply with the subpoena the two chairmen sent last month as part of their investigation into special counsel Robert Hur's decision not to charge the president. As President Biden campaigns for re-election at a furious pace, his 2024 rival Donald Trump is behind closed doors. Trump has held just a single campaign event since he locked up the Republican presidential nomination on March 12th. On Wall Street, the Dow down by 162 points, the Nasdaq dropped 44, the S&P 500 lower by 16. This is SRN News.
When you've got the gem of the Midlands, Lake Murray, at your disposal, who can blame you for wanting to hit that water now? Marine 360 has been your local home for the nicest crest and sea hunt boats since 2007. Brandon, Scott, and their team, well, they offer expertise, incredible customer service, and a tremendous selection of new and pre-owned boats. Crest is the industry standard. They've been building boats since 1956, the oldest and one of the most respected pontoon builders anywhere. Sea Hunt is built right here in Columbia, the #1 selling center console in its class for 19 straight years. Look, Marine 360 is on the lake. It's a great place when you need your boat serviced. They're authorized service experts for Yamaha, Mercury, and Suzuki. I know Brandon and Scott. These are good guys. They're local, and they'll be there from start to finish. They can get you into the best boat that fits your dreams and your budget. Take a look online, marine360sc.com, or better yet, give them a call, 749-2360. Go visit the showroom, see their awesome selection, hit the water for a demonstration. If you belong on the water, you belong in a Marine 360 boat.
Dave Ramsey here. Do you want your money to work for you rather than you working for your money? Go see my friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union. They're not a mega bank and have been serving the Midlands since 1936, offering good old-fashioned customer service and free services. They'll look out for your financial well-being. With 14 locations, check them out today at palmettocitizens.org. Federally insured by the NCUA.
Great things don't happen all at once. Big dreams take time. And when it comes to saving for college, it's those small steps that make a difference. I'm State Treasurer Curtis Loftus. Future Scholar, South Carolina's 5 to 9 college savings plan, is designed to be taken step by step. You can start with any amount, contributions are tax deductible, and earnings grow tax-free. So why wait? Discover the smart, easy way to save for college at futurescholar.com.
As we celebrate 10 fantastic years at Sweet Comfort Services, we're cooling you off with unbeatable deals on all SEER 2 and high-efficiency AC equipment. Hey Point family, mention this ad and get a thorough spring maintenance check from our expert non-commissioned techs for just $95 for your first system and a chill $45 each additional system. Look us up at sweethvac.com or call us at 331-8143. Celebrating a decade of keeping you cool and comfy. That's the Sweet Comfort promise.
Paid for by official funds authorized by the House of Representatives.
Hello, this is Congressman Ralph Norman. It is my greatest honor to serve the people of South Carolina's 5th Congressional District. If my office can ever be of any help with any federal issues such as VA, IRS, Social Security, passports, and many others, please give us a call at 803-327-1114 or stop by our office in Rock Hill. For more information about our offices, please visit norman.house.gov. Thank you so much.
We are back on Sports Talk here on the Sports Talk Media Network. Phil Kornblut, Chris Bergen, Josh Cohen handling our production duties full-time now. Welcome, Josh, to the Sports Talk family, official full-timer. Say goodbye to Pat Daniel. We retired Pat. You know, our producers, they're like horses. Every once in a while, Chris, we got to send them out to stud. And so we have,
and Pat will be good in that.
We've sent Pat out to stud. He's been retired, though he wants
to hang his shirt in the room, though.
He does
in the studio, don't we? We need to hang up the producer shirts.
Well, he wants a show. He wants a night on the show so he can tell all his fans goodbye. So we're going to do that one night, maybe this week. We'll see how the schedules work out. So. One door closes, another door opens. Great to have Josh with us. Does a great job. And also tonight, we want to officially welcome. We love getting new members to the Sports Talk family, especially terrific affiliates around the state of South Carolina. And so tonight, we welcome WGTN 107.5 in Georgetown, Rod Stalvey, longtime friend. Known Rod for years and years because they might have been original members of Sports Talk when we started. I know at one time they were with us in the 80s and 90s. And Rod is back with us, 107.5. What a great affiliate. Georgetown, up the coast, Murrells Inlet, heading the other way towards Charleston. So it gives us another great outlet there. Plus their great music, country music that he plays. Countryfied WGTN. Great to have Rod and the folks down there with us on Sports Talk. Welcome. To steal a phrase from Shane Beamer, welcome home. Or maybe welcome back might be a good way. But it's good to have you back in the family, Rod. WGTN 107.5. Welcome to Sports Talk. And while we're talking about the low country and great people down there and not too far from Georgetown, that's our man Jimmy Smith at James Smith Realty and Paulie's Vacation Rentals.com. My gosh, if you're not thinking about vacation now, when are you going to think about it? You got to have the itch. You got to want to get to the beach. You got to want to walk on the strand, put your toes in the water, play some golf, eat some seafood. Need a place to stay that fits your needs, that fits your style. Everybody's got a style, you know? Some want real fancy. Some want laid back and casual. Well, Jimmy and the staff can find you whatever you're looking for. Here's her phone number, 843-237-4900. 4246, or go online to learn more at pauliesvacationrentals.com. Jimmy Smith is the man. Paulie's Island is the place. Again, that number is 843-237-4246. You were telling me we have another significant person in the transfer portal, John?
I actually have two things to mention. Ante Berzovic, the outstanding post player for the College of Charleston, he announced earlier today he was jumping into Portal John, and I don't believe this is a Portal John related situation, but it is South Carolina related. Jeff Goodman reporting here in the last 20 minutes or so that Dan D'Antoni has been forced out as head coach at Marshall.
Somebody send Alan Smothers.
High school
Somebody send Alan Smothers a glass of very strong whiskey.
I mean, I know they struggled a little bit this season, but wow! And he's a Marshall alum. You don't just do that to your own.
Yeah, he was there a long time, wasn't it?
10 seasons. Yeah, 177 and 148.
Yeah.
So he evidently out and 76 years of age. You wonder if D'Antoni says, you know what?
Is he 76?
Yeah.
Wow. Didn't realize that. Yeah. Furman forward Alex Williams is also in the transfer portal, John, according to verbal commits. So you got folks everywhere. USC spring practice continuing today, and Clemson getting back on their spring practice. USC made some players available today on the offensive side. Lenora Sellers, one of those who spoke with the media. We'll hear from him. Maybe we'll hear tonight. Might be tomorrow. But you listened to the press conference with him. What'd you think of what he had to say?
He's an impressive young man when he speaks. Awfully intelligent guy. I've known that for a while, and fine football player, but says he is trying to take on more of a leadership role now. He said the game is coming to him much slower than it was last year. He said you run out there and play college football at the SEC level, and it comes at you way too fast. He said he's starting to get it slow down for him now, and obviously playing with some confidence now is I would think the incumbent starter going into spring ball. They've only worked out 3 times, so I don't know how much we can gauge as to what he's done. But just listening to him speak, he is trying to take on that leadership role that Spencer Rattler left sort of as a void when he took off to head to the NFL.
All right. Also, former College of Charleston assistant, or is it Coastal assistant Mark Byington? Charleston assistant, right?
Charleston.
Mm-hmm. Mark Byington leaving James Madison, 32-4, won a game in the tournament. He's the new head coach at Vanderbilt, and according to reports, he actually signed a contract extension at JMU just before the Sun Belt tournament. Increased his buyout to $1 million. So Vandy's got to pay $1 million to get that buyout, but he's headed to Vandy. He's a heck of a basketball coach now, I tell you. He was impressive at the college. People talked about him as an assistant. And he went, was James Madison his first stop after Charleston? Did he go somewhere in between?
No, actually, went to Georgia Southern.
Okay.
And was there for 2, 4, 6, 7 years. And actually won 20-plus games 4 times while he was at Georgia Southern.
Mm-hmm.
So it did a really, really good job there, parlayed that into the James Madison job, and won 22 games last year and won 32 this year, made the NCAA tournament, of course, and got a win in the opening round. So, he's a hot commodity, and kind of surprised that James Madison didn't try and make that buyout a little bit more. But maybe they wouldn't have been able to talk him into re-signing with them had they upped the ante. But I'm thinking Vanderbilt probably looks at $1 million buyout and chuckles a little bit, don't you think?
I think they got somebody here write that check. All right, a couple more things. Back to your phone calls. Baseball rankings this week. Clemson taking a big step up after their sweep of Florida State. Tigers are number 3 by D1, number 2 by Perfect Game, number 2 by Baseball America, number 3 by the coaches. USC is 18, 18, 10, and 14, and Coastal 19, 22, 20, and not ranked by Baseball America. And USC pitcher Tyler Pitzer is the SEC's Freshman of the Week after pitching so well for them yesterday against Vanderbilt. All right, back to your calls. Let's go to Andy in Columbia. Hope Andy shows the proper excitement for the USC women, or Hank's going to get mad at him. Andy, welcome to Columbia. How are you?
Well, welcome home there, Corn.
Thank you.
Did you stay at the Peabody and play with the Duckies?
Did not.
I asked him the same thing.
I did have, my hotel did have rubber ducks. I had some rubber ducks in my hotel, but not at the Peabody.
Well, when you said earlier last week that there was hardly any fans at the practices, they were all at the Peabody watching ducks. They prefer to watch.
Tell you
ducks
what,
than
it
the
was a
players.
poorly attended. Well, I say that Nebraska brought a lot of people. The Nebraska Texas A&M game on, get my days right here. What's today? Monday. So Friday, Texas A&M, Nebraska had good attendance because Nebraska brought 6,000 or 7,000 people. Otherwise, poorly attended. Poorly attended. I don't know why people. The people of Memphis didn't buy tickets. I can tell you that. It didn't seem like there were a lot of neutral people there. It seemed like the people who were there were supporting a team, which is kind of odd because these games usually sell out. They usually pack the arenas. So, at least in my eye, it did not look like big crowds.
They should be looking at Columbia a little bit harder.
I'd agree.
Bring some regionals.
I'd agree.
First off, I want to say thank you to Pat. You know, he became a friend just from calling, and great guy. I appreciate how he always treated me when I called, and the conversations we had off the line, off the air, and just a great fella. And I'm going to miss him. But welcome to Josh. Josh is a good guy, and I know he's going to do a good job in taking Pat's place.
Thank you.
You're welcome there, young man. Number
Very
3.
He's a very polite young man, unlike Pat. Very polite.
Number 3 in my list. I think the biggest shock to me this weekend was that the bum led his team to a sweep over Vanderbilt.
Now you see that's really just not called for.
Well, I mean, I've been calling him that all year. Why should I change my tune?
Well, because
let him sweep somebody on the road.
I'm
going to
defend Mark Kingston. Okay, he's not a bum.
Well,
okay?
you always do because you don't want to lose your bet with me. So you're always.
That's got nothing to do with it. Monetary considerations do not come into play here at all. He's done. He's done. That was an impressive weekend. First of all, to get a win at Ole Miss. Okay, you lost the series, but you got the win. Then you turn around and you sweep the number 2 team in the country. That's 4 straight SEC wins. Things are starting to fall into place for them. They're going to have a terrific year. What's our bet? What did we end up betting? What was our bet?
You said that they're going to host a Super.
I'm sticking to my bet.
That was our
sticking to my bet. Sticking to my bet.
But
Sticking.
They'll go to Alabama this weekend, correct? We'll see.
That is correct.
I'm so out of everything else. Do they go on the road this weekend?
Thursday, Friday, Saturday against Alabama. Yep.
There you go.
We'll see how that turns out because I believe Alabama has a pretty good team this year, don't they?
They do. Yeah, they got to win some games on the road. They will.
Yeah,
they will.
That they do. But also very impressed with the. You know, I'll throw Hank a little bit there. The women this weekend. That defense that they threw out in the first half.
Shoot the dog.
Was unbelievable. She's just saying hi to Finn. So okay, just calm down there, Corn. But
yeah, their defense was great. Their defense was fantastic.
They were all in that girl's all in her grill. The one that was supposedly the great one that I can't remember her name, but that she was a senior. I think her sister plays for State, mate, or plays for somebody who was playing in Raleigh. I want to say State. And her mom's driving back and forth, they said. But they were all in her grill. I mean, she averaged like 16 points.
Careful now. We're talking about ladies here. Careful.
Well, in the grill, I mean, is that bad to say about being in a woman's grill?
Some people might take that the wrong way. I'm just saying be careful.
But, you know, she had like 2 or 4 points or something like that. And Full Wiley, I believe I said that correctly. Her defense has improved tremendously since Coach Staley pulled her out in that North Carolina game and made her sit. And I think she's starting to grasp the situation there of being a great defensive player.
Yeah, she's a talent. She's an absolute
her
talent.
3-point shooting is really improved as we go. But I'm gonna get off the phone because Bailey's here yelling too much at Finn, and I don't want Finn to start barking on the other end. So,
thank you, sir.
Have a good.
Great hearing from you. Appreciate it, Andy.
Thanks, Eddie.
888-898-2525. Need to mention that Clemson's Blake Wright, ACC Player of the week, no surprise there.
Duh.
He had,
I don't know who else they would have had,
a week,
even contended with him.
A week where he went 13 of 22, 6 homers, 21 RBIs. He had a career in one day or one weekend. 13 of 22, 6 homers, 21 RBIs, scored 10 runs. And, Clemson put up a lot of offense, which is great. Got to wonder about the pitching a little bit. Giving up a lot of runs. We'll talk more about that as we move on. Let's go to Tiger Bryan before we go to the break. Tiger Bryan, it's good to have you with us. I know you're all caught up in your Clemson basketball team.
Well, it's been a bad week for Tiger Bryan. I lost my sister.
Oh.
Hey.
What?
She had Alzheimer's and all. She lived down at Sumter. And hey, the last time she knew me, I had my Clemson shirt on. She said, "Brother, you got the wrong shirt on." She's a diehard Gamecock fan. She went to South Carolina,
Really?
Yeah. But,
well, first of all, our condolences to you and your family.
Indeed.
I thank y'all, brother. But Pat's, I'm going to have to get used to the new man, but Pat's always been so kind and nice to me, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Now, he's been great. Hey, Corn, you put up me for what, 25 years?
At least.
All right. I appreciate y'all. And but I'm going to tell you what, our basketball team surprised me. I didn't think that we could beat Baylor. But
I didn't either. I didn't think you were going to beat New Mexico.
Well,
but you know what?
I don't know
there's something going on here because when South Carolina went to the Final Four, they beat Baylor in the Elite Eight. No, they beat Baylor in the Sweet 16. Yeah.
Yep.
Then they beat Florida in the Elite Eight. And where was the Final Four played that year? Phoenix. Same as this year.
Yep.
Just saying.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean anything. I'm just saying.
I'm going to tell you what. I'm not a Gamecock fan, but I know, man, you know that. But the Gamecock girls, they ain't nobody going to beat them. I'm sorry. They ain't I don't see nobody that needs.
Well, Tennessee got beat today by NC State. Ohio State's been knocked out. Virginia Tech's been knocked out. Little by little, some of the stronger contenders, of course, Iowa's still in it. UConn is still in it. I guess Texas is still in it. Southern Cal is still in it. So there's still some strong contenders they're going to have to deal with. I think that let me think now. They'll play, they'd have to play Texas in the national semis. I think that's who they would draw if the seeds hold. I think a South Carolina Southern Cal national championship game, Juju Watkins against the Gamecocks. That'd be quite the matchup, I think. How you like Corn dropping some women's basketball intel on you, huh?
I'm impressed.
Dropping some women's hoops intel. Where you at, Hank? Where you at?
Corn, you better bet the house on South Carolina, though, I tell you. Ain't nobody gonna beat them.
I agree. I'll bet your house. Can I bet your house? I'm betting.
Oh, yeah. It's about $350,000. Go ahead. It's paid for.
That's good.
I got your back, Corn. I got your back.
Have you got a pool that's above ground or in ground?
I got above ground 28 foot with a big old deck around. Yeah, I can't afford them in ground, you know what I mean? But
well, listen, we're gonna let you go, but we're sorry to hear about your sister. You've got the condolences of the entire state.
I thank you, my brothers. I hope y'all have a great night, and I love y'all, and y'all do a great job, my brothers.
Thank you, Tiger Bryan, and y'all take care. Hug each other there in the Tiger Bryan family. Appreciate that. All right, let's run to the break, and we'll be back with more in just a moment. Phone number 888-898-2525, South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number. On a night, we welcome WGTN, Rod Stalvey Station in Georgetown. Back to Sports Talk. Great to have them with us along the coast of South Carolina. Back after this break. Don't go away.
Are
Are you ready to get behind the wheel in something new? Or at least new to you? Relax with an auto loan from Founders Federal Credit Union. Here at Founders, we understand that your car is more than just a vehicle. It's a part of your life's journey. From hobbies changing to families growing, don't make your life fit your ride. Make your ride fit your life. Our low fixed rates can get you on the road in no time. Not sure what you want? Apply early for a pre-approved spending limit, valid for 30 days, so you know what to look for before you start shopping. Let a Founders loan officer be your trusted advisor to make sure your purchase makes sense for you and your finances. Head over to one of our 41 convenient office locations or visit foundersfcu.com to apply for an auto loan today. Federally insured by NCUA. Membership qualification required. Terms and conditions apply.
Stay tuned. More Sports Talk is coming up on the Sports Talk Media Network.
I'm attorney Jim Corbett. That's the sound of a big hit on you and your car or truck. I've been an attorney for more than 30 years, helping people who get injured in car wrecks and truck wrecks. If you have serious injuries, call Jim Corbett, 803-765-2968, or email me at jim@jimcorbettattorney.com. That's CORBETT. I don't get paid unless I recover for you. Jim Corbett Attorney, for your best recovery from a big hit, 803-765-2968, or jim@jimcorbettattorney.com.
Hi, yes, I'll have the club sandwich and house salad.
You got it, sweetie. I'll throw in a pair of designer sunglasses as well.
Just lunch, thanks.
How about a week at my boss's oceanfront villa?
What?
When you join the South Carolina Education Lottery's Players Club, you get way more than you expect. More chances, more wins, and more surprises.
Today's special, a trip to low Earth orbit in a private spaceship.
Join the Players Club at seeducationlottery.com because more happens here.
All right, back in the comfort of our Columbia studios tonight. It is good to be back, though. I did enjoy broadcasting from Memphis, and they had a great setup. The media, they did a really good job in Memphis for the most part with the media. Listen, people don't care about our deals. Just take care of your business, report, shut up, and stay out of the way. The one thing they did not do a good job with was parking. I cannot believe that a big event like that, and they were not prepared to handle the parking needs of the media. I mean, very few people got parking preference there. And they have a garage attached to the building, which was used for some decal parking. But it was, you'd have to walk through there to go to the media entrance, and it was 95% empty. And I'm thinking to myself, why couldn't you use this to, I had to park on the street, I had to park in another garage, blah, 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 no big deal. I'm not complaining to anybody. I'm just saying that was the one negative there. Otherwise, they handled the media perfectly, nice setup, able to do the show from my seat upstairs. So very, very comfortable situation from that standpoint. How about Pittsburgh?
Pittsburgh was outstanding. Pittsburgh did a terrific job outside of, the alternate media, I guess is the best way to describe us. Those of us who aren't directly involved in the broadcast, best I can tell, were put up in the hockey press box area, which was on the 7th floor of the PPG Paints Arena. But in terms of parking, I mean, it was exceptional. It was 2 blocks from the arena, had plenty of parking there and easy access to get downtown. I had a really, really good time in Pittsburgh. Outside of Gamecocks not playing any better, so we could have stayed an extra day or so. But, in terms of visiting a city for an NCAA tournament regional, they did a terrific job. And driving home Saturday was fun, going through West Virginia and down through Virginia and North Carolina. So thank God for the baseball on Saturday. Because of all the double headers after the rainouts, there was plenty of baseball for me to be entertained for 8-9 hours.
I can imagine.
On Saturday.
All right, Gamecock Larry's up with us next, and we'll continue with phone calls after we sweep through the top of the hour. So those of you on hold, we'll get to you on the other side. Gamecock Larry up next. Welcome in. How are you, sir?
Hi, doubting you, Mr. Phil. I'm just under the weather. I ain't doubting you. Clemson Tigers almost ruined my weekend, but I ain't. they ain't gonna go no further than that. I don't know when the next game is.
Thursday.
But I'll call you tomorrow and talk to you. I'm under the weather for a while. I don't know what's wrong, but I'll call you. But your Tigers, they ain't gonna. They almost, they did. They spoiled my weekend. That's okay. Talk to you later.
All right, Larry. Feel better. Call us tomorrow. Hope you feel better. Let's go quickly. Stay on the phones. We go to Bobby in Charlotte. Hey, Bobby. Welcome to Sports Talk. How are you?
Hey, guys. Well, first off, solidarity with Gamecock Larry. I hope he's feeling better. And you know what? Those damn Tigers ruined my weekend. I'll come out and say it. You know what, Corn? You got a lot more patience than I do. If I built a media empire and had to listen to someone call up and tell me I wasn't energetic enough about a freaking women's basketball game that nobody cares about, I tell you what, man. Like I said, you got the patience of Job with some of these guys. So let me get this straight. Corn, if I'm not correct, Clemson's number 2 in the baseball polls this week. Their basketball team is in the Sweet 16. They beat us head-to-head in everything that matters. And our leading scorer on our basketball team just hit the portal this afternoon, right?
That is correct.
But so memo to Hank, sometimes we reap what we sow as a fan base. Buddy, I don't know when you're going to get it. Nobody cares, okay? Nobody freaking cares. So we're not in a good spot right now, and I'm with Gamecock Larry, and we'll both be recuperating. But God bless you, Corn. You got a lot more patience than I do.
Wow. Thank you. That was cold.
Yeah, and inaccurate.
Cold Cobb.
You can't say that Gamecock fans don't get behind the women's basketball team. That's just inaccurate. I mean, they had over 14,000 at the game yesterday.
All right, we'll talk about
Somebody
it after
cares.
the break. Be right back.
WQXL Columbia, W264DF.
Grills, outdoor kitchens, and fireplaces. Spring Sizzle starts with Bart. This is 107 The Point.
News this hour from townhall.com. I'm Keith Peters reporting. Donald Trump doesn't have to pay a $454 million bond in one case, but in a separate case faces an April trial.
A New York court agrees to let Donald Trump pay a $175 million bond in his civil business fraud case instead of the almost $500 million judgment, stopping the clock on the New York Attorney General seizing his assets.
Greatly respect the decision of the appellate division, and we will abide by that.
Meanwhile, Trump was in court in his separate hush money case involving Stormy Daniels and Michael Cohen, with the judge setting an April 15th trial date.
I don't know how you can have a trial that's going on right in the middle of an election. Not fair.
Trump calling all the cases election interference. At court in Manhattan, I'm Julie Walker.
The UN passed a vote calling for a ceasefire in Gaza, with the U.S. abstaining for the first time instead of vetoing the resolution. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu canceled meetings with Biden officials in response, further damaging U.S.-Israel relations. White House National Security spokesman John Kirby says the Biden administration is perplexed by Israel's criticism of the U.S. abstaining from the Security Council vote and Prime Minister Netanyahu's cancellation of an Israeli delegation visit to Washington this week.
It seems like the Prime Minister's office is choosing to create a perception of daylight here when they don't need to do that.
Netanyahu accused the U.S. of retreating by allowing the vote to pass without conditioning the ceasefire on the release of hostages held by Hamas. The resolution was approved 14-0 by the 15-member council. On Wall the Dow down by 162 points. The Nasdaq dropped 44. The S&P lower by 16. More at townhall.com.
Relief Factor, pain relief that's natural, pain relief that works, and pain relief that attacks the source of the pain. That's the experience of tens of thousands of Americans who are taking Relief Factor right now. See their incredible video endorsements at relieffactor.com and then order your 3-week quick starter pack for just $19.95. That's less than $1 a day. Find out if it can work for you like it works for me by ordering your 3-week quick starter pack today. Relieffactor.com, relieffactor.com. Be the next success story.
Seth Polhaus brings hope and insight as he fights against socialism and communism on the Man in America podcast, now available on the Salem Podcast Network.
The role of the digital world in shaping our perception of the real world cannot be overlooked. It seems like all of these mechanisms are dividing us in endless ways.
Subscribe to Man in America today on Apple, Spotify, Google, YouTube, Rumble, or at SalemPodcastNetwork.com.
Russian attacks on Ukraine's capital continue. Correspondent Charles de Ledesma reports.
Russia's hit the Ukrainian capital for the third time in 5 days, part of an apparent escalation of aerial bombardment of cities by the Kremlin's forces. City authorities say a residential building was damaged in one district of the city, while debris from interceptions fell on various other districts during the daylight attack. The assault comes 3 days after a concert hall attack in Russia that killed more than 130 people. Russian President Vladimir Putin has sought to tie the attacks to Ukraine, even though an affiliate of the Islamic State group has claimed responsibility. I'm Charles de Ledesma.
The 4 men charged with the massacre at a Moscow theater have been identified by the Russian government as citizens of Tajikistan. They are some of the thousands who migrate to Russia. News and analysis at townhall.com. I'm Keith Peters.
On Point Weather is made possible by our friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union on 107 The Point.
Here's tonight's forecast. Cloudy overnight with a low temp dipping down to 46. Tomorrow, mostly cloudy with a small chance of some late rain. The high is up to 72. Wednesday and Thursday could be pretty wet. Storms and some heavy rain possible. Things get real nice, though, on Friday. The weekend looks wonderful. Sunshine and highs in the mid to upper 70s. I'm Cal Moss with your On Point local weather.
WQXL Columbia, W264DF.
Grills, outdoor kitchens, and fireplaces. Spring Sizzle starts with Bart. This is 107 The Point.
Ooh, I like when you press that one.
Welcome back to Sports Talk on the Sports Talk Media Network. You can reach the guys with the South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number, 888-898-2525. That's 888-898-2525. Now back to Phil and Chris with the second hour of Sports Talk on the Sports Talk Media Network.
All right, we're back. It is Sports Talk Media Network. It's a Monday. Glad to have you with us. Phil Kornblut, Chris Bergen, Josh Cohen, taking your phone calls, 888-898-2525. More calls in just a moment. We'll hear a little bit from Brad Brownell and from Don Staley. And also at the bottom of the hour, you baseball people, you want to stand by for the one and the only Jim Toman, just a bit outside. I'm sure he's going to have a bunch of Toman tidbits to share with us, including, we'll go ahead and steal this one, 1,100 wins for Gary Gilmore over the weekend.
At Coastal.
Yeah, at Coastal. Yep. Congratulations. We've got the Hootie at Bulls Bay being played, and they're 2 rounds into it. And guess who's winning? Guess this team has been on our minds the last few days. Guess who's winning?
Now, I was going to say the Gamecocks since it's the Hootie's tournament, but I'm guessing no.
It's New Mexico.
Is it now?
New Mexico. 16 under par. They shot 14 under today. LSU is next at 14 under. And then Purdue, West Virginia. Purdue is 6 under. West Virginia is 1 under. Then the Gamecocks, even par, shot a 289 today, +1. College of Charleston is 7th. Coastal Carolina's 9th, and Furman is tied for 12th. As far as the individual leaderboard, Matthew Watkins of New Mexico is 7 under. Connor Gaunt of LSU is 6 under. Your leading Gamecock is Frankie Harris at -2. Keep in mind the Gamecocks are playing without Nathan Franks, who was injured in that car wreck coming back from Statesboro. So they're without their best player. We touched on that Friday night with George Bryant. Okay, that's a big college event there at Bulls Bay. You ever played Bulls Bay? You ever seen Bulls Bay?
I have not.
At Allendale?
I have not.
Me neither. I'd like to play it one day. Phone number 888-898-2525. That's our phone number. We go back to your phone calls here on Sports Talk on this Monday, and it is going to be Jamie, Hilton Head. Hello, Jamie. Welcome in. How are you?
Hey guys, how you doing?
We're doing great. How are you?
Listen, I'm doing good. I'm so proud of my baseball team this weekend, but it's the basketball team's day. I tell you, I've been the biggest critic of Brad Brownell, and I still don't know what to do with him. Honestly, even though we've been going to the Sweet 16, I still don't know what to do. Do you know right offhand how many years is left on his contract?
I believe off the top of my head, I think it's 2. We looked it up before. I believe it's 2.
Okay. Well, I guess I'm just frustrated because Clemson as a whole, maybe they need to make more of a commitment, but they could be better. If it was me, I mean, you celebrate the win, you say, hey, you've got some time or whatever, you let him return. There's no doubt about that, but I don't think you sign him to a big-time extension. I think that because of the transfer portal, the cycle's going to repeat itself. Next year they're not going to have the same team, and nobody in college athletics will. But they'll say, well, they went to the Sweet 16 last year, which is the truth. But in today's world, you should never have a bad team in college basketball anymore. With the transfer portal and everything else, you should always be competitive. And I'll tell you something, Coach Brownell is just like a player that steps it up in big games. I believe he coaches harder in big games when his job's on the line.
Could be. He's coaching his tail off right now. You bring up an interesting point. This is something that ADs face every year in college basketball, Chris, and that is the coach who's kind of on the warm seat, maybe the hot seat, then he gets hot in the NCAA tournament. Now, you would say, well, a coach in the NCAA tournament shouldn't be on the warm seat or the hot seat, but many of them are because they've underachieved for a number of years, but maybe they got in this year. Maybe they underachieved this particular year and they got in and they get hot.
Right.
And you end up getting all caught up in the emotion of the moment and you sign a coach to a big contract. Not that this means anything, but Lamont Paris hasn't won a game since he got his new contract at South Carolina. He's 0-2. So
right.
Now I'm not saying they got caught up in the moment and all that. I mean, he just lost a tournament game and a tournament game. So you have to be careful as an AD that you don't let the emotions of winning in the NCAA tournament cloud your judgment when it comes to writing up a new contract and making an offer.
Well, if it was me, I want to see more of a commitment out of the university, out of Clemson, to basketball because basketball is a good game.
What more can they do? What more? They've redone Little John. They've built a They've built a practice facility. What more can they do?
Just saw a tweet today that of the Sweet, and I may be wrong here, but something similar to this, of the Sweet 16 teams, Clemson has the third lowest budget. Only to San Diego State has less than they do. So, and I just think that there's some things that could be done. Like, for example, if I was Graham Neff and they said, okay, rebuild the basketball team, one of the first things I do is I back up the truck to Scott Drew.
Nah, you're never getting Scott Drew. Never.
Well,
that's pipe dream. First of all, they're going to resign. Brad Brownell is going to be your coach for the foreseeable future. He's going to be your coach next 5 or 6 years. At least he'll have a contract. They're going to redo his contract after all this is done. Graham Neff would look like the biggest heel in college sports if he were to do something now. Because look at it. I mean, you can make the legitimate argument that they should have been in the tournament last year. You can make that argument.
Everybody's making that argument, Phil, but they weren't. The bottom line is they were not. And I get tired of even hearing Graham Neff say, well, I view us as a tournament team. But they weren't. They weren't.
Yeah, that's true. They weren't. Should have been, but they weren't.
And I mean, people are saying, well, he's made the tournament 50% of the time. No, four times in 14 years is not 50% of the time.
Well, kick out the COVID year, so 13 years.
Well, okay.
But I hear what you're saying. I hear what you're saying. But look, Frank Martin only went to one tournament in 11 years at South Carolina. He made a hell of a splash in that tournament, but they only went to that's hard to believe. He went to one NCAA tournament. Wasn't he at Carolina 11 years, or was it 10 years?
Something like that. I think
10
it
years.
was 11, 10, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
He went to one. Am I right? He went to one NCAA tournament, right, Chris?
And you judge a program by, okay, how many championships has he won? Brownell's won 0. How many championships has he played for?
Yeah, but I mean,
he's in the process.
Look at the history of Clemson basketball. Do you know exactly how many regular season ACC championships you've won in basketball in the history of the program?
I understand.
How many? Answer that question. How many? Huh?
None.
No, they've won one.
They've won one. Okay.
One.
They've
Cliff
won
Ellis.
one.
Cliff Ellis won a regular season championship. I think it was 1990.
Okay. And Oliver Purnell played for one.
Well, played for an ACC tournament championship. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I mean, Rick Barnes took us to an Elite Eight. So, I mean, Brad.
So did Bill Foster. Bill Foster took you to the Elite Eight. I don't think Rick Barnes took you to the Elite Eight. Bill Foster took you to the Elite Eight.
I thought Rick Barnes took us one time.
Did he take you one time? No, I don't.
And I thought we got beat, but I thought he took us one time.
I could look up in the notes. I know Bill Foster took you back in like 1980.
And I'm kind of hoping that somebody will come, that Brownell will get hot, and somebody will come get him, and we can part ways and still be friends. You know, but I'm kind of hoping for that, but it's not going to happen.
Be careful what you wish for. Okay, listen. Thanks very much. Great hearing from you. We appreciate it. Go ahead.
And that's the call I've been waiting to hear.
One Elite Eight, by the way.
Clemson fan.
One Elite Eight. That was Bill Foster. 4. This now makes 5 Sweet 16s for Clemson in their basketball history.
Brownell's got 2 of them.
He's got 2 of them. The only one with 2, and 1 Elite Eight. Go ahead.
And he's only missed the postseason of the years he's been at Clemson 5 times. I know no one cares about the NIT, but it is a postseason tournament. But Jamie's call was the one I've been waiting to hear.
Mm-hmm.
A Clemson fan who's a basketball fan who's disappointed that Brad Brownell is successful and got them to the Sweet 16. And I don't get that mindset. I really don't. The guy has done a really, really good job with them. And I think it's a situation where they deserve to reward him. Now, to Jamie's point about maybe being cautious with the contract extension, maybe do something what NC State did with Kevin Keats. You put in there an automatic contract rollover, or at least extension, if you go to the NCAA tournament. I mean, Kevin Keats is the perfect example of a guy that was on the hot seat. He probably was not going to keep his job at NC State had they not had this miraculous run through the ACC tournament. And look at them. I mean, they're playing as well as anybody in the country.
Red hot.
And what Kevin Keats ought to do is take part of his money that he has gotten as a bonus and give it to Tony Bennett at Virginia. Because if Tony Bennett's ineptitude at the end of the ball game in the ACC semifinals had not occurred, we're not talking about NC State in the tournament.
Yep.
But his poor management of late game situations, which still boggles my mind how many coaches don't understand late game situations, how he butchered that at the end, has allowed Kevin Keats at NC State to roll into the tournament. And look out for them. I mean, their team is playing just like Clemson, but they got hot at the ACC tournaments and did something nobody's done.
They've won 7 games in 10 days or something. Something incredible.
Yeah, 2.5 weeks.
Incredible. One more thing before we hear from Brad Brownell. It seems like it's inevitable they're going to expand the tournament to at least 72 teams. And here is and that's fine. If you don't go to 72 teams, though, I think that's further evidence of the dumbing down of the American sports world, because we just can't accept that people do lose, and we can't leave them out. We just can't leave people out anymore. We got to have everybody in, total inclusion when it comes to teams. Keep in mind this when it comes to college basketball. Every team that plays Division I college basketball is in the NCAA tournament. It's called your conference tournament.
Mm-hmm.
You win your conference tournament and you advance just to the next round, which happens to be the main draw of the NCAA tournament. So everybody's got a chance. People who say we're leaving people out because for whatever reason, no. Every Division I team for that matter, Division II. Anybody that plays conference tournaments to get into the big dance, you're involved. You've got a chance. Nobody seems to remember that. We want to continue to reward mediocrity in sports and water it down to where, 8th and 9th place SEC teams now will have a chance to get into the NCAA tournament. And same thing in the Big Ten, and same thing if there's still an ACC in a couple of years, and whatever conferences are still out there. Just, and NC State is a fun story, because they're winning these games, but they got no business. If you really want to reward teams for great regular seasons, they got no business being in the NCAA tournament. Well, I take that back. What am I saying? They won the ACC. Mm-hmm. They have every right to be there.
Yeah.
Got to eat my own words there. They have but I'm talking about a team that got from a power league that had a very average regular season, but the net was this or that. Losses should mean something. Yeah, Virginia. Losses should mean something and should take away something. But we've got to keep expanding, and this goes across the boards. College, pros. Look, biggest Packer fan in the world. And I wouldn't have been overjoyed to see an eight-loss Packer team. I would have been overjoyed, but it would have still been sort of no, I'd have been very happy had the Packers won the Super Bowl, even with 8 losses. But my point is, an 8-loss team in the NFL should not be in the playoffs, but they've expanded the playoffs in such a way that you can get in with 8 losses by winning your division,
High school's the worst, Phil. High school football playoffs are set up this year. Look how many teams will be in with losing records. There won't be a ton, obviously.
Keep in mind what they've done for high school now. Keep in mind what they've done with high school is really they want teams to have an additional gate. So they created this format
then
where
play one more regular season game.
Well,
play 11 regular season games and then invite the top 2 teams from your region. Get rid of 3 and 4. It's pretty simple.
Yeah.
If that's your concern, that's an easy solution. A team that's 2-8 does not belong in the state playoffs playing for a state championship.
Well,
you'll never convince me otherwise.
Well, yeah, what you're talking about there, a team they lose every one of their non-region games.
Mm-hmm.
All right, and then they go 2-2 in their region, and that's good enough for 4th place, and they get in the playoffs.
Right.
So.
Ridiculous.
That's when you play out of region. Sometimes you're playing bigger teams, and obviously teams that are better than you. You take your lumps, and all you try to do is go 500 in your region. That's going to get you in under the current setup. But going back to my argument about college basketball, the point I'm making is everybody in Division I college basketball has got a chance to be in the NCAA tournament.
Sure, they
through their conference tournament. So let's don't say we're leaving out people because they've all got a chance. They've all got a chance. All right, we got to run to a break, and we will be back in just a moment. 888-898-2525 is the phone number here on Sports Talk. Coming up after the bottom of the hour break, we'll be joined by Jim Toman, keeping an eye on college baseball for us here in South Carolina and across the country. He'll have some great insight on what's happening because it was some weekend in college baseball involving South Carolina teams. Be back in just a moment. Some comments from Brad Brownell coming up.
Hi, this is Billy Downer from the South Carolina Department of Natural Resources. Are you looking for a safe place to shoot your rifle or handgun? Did you know that the South Carolina Department of Natural Resources operates 4 manned ranges across the state in Pickens County, Spartanburg County, Richland County, and Charleston County? For more information on our public ranges, visit dnr.sc.gov/shooting.
Call Lawyer Lisa. Experience the difference with Lawyer Lisa.
Hi, I'm Lisa Hosteller Brown. Did you know it's possible to avoid probate court after you die, regardless of what you own? Why put your loved ones through a long, stressful public process when there are better options for your family? Visit lawyerlisa.com to see how we can help.
Call Lawyer Lisa. Experience the difference with Lawyer Lisa.
7511 St. Andrews Road, Irmo, South Carolina.
You're listening to Sports Talk on the Sports Talk Media Network. We're back in a moment.
You've put in the work for your education. The extra early, extra late, extra work. That's because you understand education opens doors to better pay, better opportunities, and a better you. Being educated about playing the lottery is no different. It helps you be a better player, one who knows when to play and when to take a rain check. The lottery's a game, so let's keep it fun. Learn more at sceducationlottery.com/betteryou.
George Bryan for Tsunami Bar Sports. Our inventor, David Abernathy, has always said Tsunami Bar technology allows us to take the training to the grass. Now I know through my sport of golf that natural agility can be converted to athletic ability. And why is this, Tsunami Robbie?
Transferring the training to the grass. This may be the most undervalued characteristic of the Tsunami flexible bar technology. The Tsunami bar action loads and unloads at the concentric and eccentric transition points. This is what we call reversal forces, and the Tsunami bar is the only bar and training device that I know of that can train these reversal forces adequately at speed.
Hey, this is Phil Kornblut. The Tsunami Bar is a terrific training device, whether you're working on your fitness or your golf game. It's convenient, it's easy to use, and you won't feel beat up afterwards. Be sure to click on the digital ad on SportsTalkSC.com and get 5% off any order using promo code BBB5. Don't wait, order today. All right, goes without saying, then why say it, Corn? Brad Brownell, very happy man last night. Very happy man. Should be. Team played well. Here is some of what he said after the Tigers win.
Well, obviously ecstatic about the win. Just super happy for my players. These guys have been battling all year and couldn't ask for a better group of guys to coach. They've just been fantastic. And we obviously had a hot start to the year. Like most teams, had a couple bumps in the road, but these guys never doubted it. We never quit. We just kept working, and we came into this tournament pretty determined and pretty confident, and just glad to see that it paid off. This was a big win for us. Baylor's obviously a very talented, well-coached team, and so for us to play the way we did, I thought our defense was outstanding throughout, and that was a big key in both of our wins here in Memphis.
Kennington Smith with the athletic chase, 2 points against Boston College, but you come into this pod 21 in the first round, 20 in this round. Just describe the mentality that you carried into this this tournament.
I just wanted to come in and just impact the game. You know, being that I only scored 2 points in Boston College, and I really wasn't on it defensively. You know, I wanted to make sure I came in here and, you know, I was on it defensively, offensively, just really impact the game at all levels. You know, and so you know, I just wanted to come in this tournament and fight for my teammates. You know, that's what I did.
Dan Tortora, wakeupcalldt.com. This one's for Joe. Joe, you made the decision to spend your last season elsewhere. You went off to Clemson, and now you're heading to the Sweet 16. Just what this entire experience has meant to you. You guys aren't done, but this team has embraced you. You've gotten a 2,000 points. You've got 99 threes now, I think, this season. Just what you can say about this entire run and the continuation of it.
Yeah, I mean, first and foremost, it's all the credit goes to the coaches and the players that are here. Because like you said, you know, I'm a 4-year guy at another school. I played against them for 4 years. Took a bunch of shots, and, you know, they didn't have to, you know, welcome me with all these open arms like they did. And, you know, these guys have been great. And Coach Brownell, I tell the story. When him and Coach Nolan came to my house for an in-home visit, they were bragging about the locker room, talking about how great these guys are, how close they are. And, you know, you kind of hear that everywhere, but I didn't really understand what it really meant until I got on my visit at Clemson. I saw it. You know, these guys are a brotherhood, and it was something I wanted to be a part of, and something that just makes this so exciting and so special. And honestly, it makes it a lot easier when you have a group of guys like this that welcome guys with open arms and just play together and play for each other. You know, it makes these runs that more special.
Matt Mosley, ESPN Central Texas. Brad, how were you able to shut off Messi down low? You had a lot of success against him. What were you doing to kind of pack it in down there and keep him away from the rim?
Yeah, you know, he's a unique player. He's not a traditional kind of back to the basket guy. So you're not guarding interior screening or a million duck ends. It's more pick and roll sealing and late lobs. And I thought we had some good backside action in terms of chipping and not to get too much detail, but just, you know, not letting him get to the rim without being bumped. And, it's hard because they put so much pressure on you with ball screen action that your big is involved in the ball screen. But I just thought our guys did a really nice job of fighting over the screen, chase most of the time, so we didn't need a lot of help from our post player or as much, and then our post player could concentrate on him.
Terry Davis, Tri-State defender. Coach, your first trip to Memphis didn't leave a good mark in your Memphis, but your second trip going to leave some lifelong memories.
Yeah.
How special is it to leave here with this win and to coach these guys for at least another week?
Yeah, that's the part that is, I love this team. They're just, they're really good players, but they're better people. Really proud of the culture we have in our program, outstanding students. We do things the right way, and these guys are, they're just fantastic to be around. So, the hard part now, you saw the Baylor kids. I'm sure Scott feels the same way about his kids, and you just get so attached. You love them, and when the season ends, you're not going to coach some of them, so it's hard. So to be able to spend another week with them is fantastic. And then, our team was one of the last two teams probably left out of the tournament last year, and that's heartbreaking. And so some of these guys, you want it so bad for them, and you talk to them about it all year, and now they're realizing why this is such a significant tournament and what it's going to mean for them for the rest of their lives.
Jason Munn's Commercial Appeal. Just want to get your take on the way the ACC has performed in this tournament.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. I think we have a terrific league. I've been outspoken about disagreeing with some of the metrics and how the way teams are judged. I don't know the best way to do it. I don't have the answers, but I know this, that I just know I've been in the ACC for 14 years. I've been here a long time. I'm probably outspoken now because Coach K and Roy Williams and Rick Pitino and Jim Boeheim and Mike Bray. And I've coached against Hall of Famers, and we're all kind of like, there was a lot of new young guys now. And, you got to hold up the banner of your league a little bit. And I know the quality of play. I've been doing this for a long time, been a head coach for 22 years. So I know when I'm playing against good teams, well-coached teams. And so I'm not surprised in the least.
All right, Brad Brownell. By the way, Don Staley, Lamont Paris, they're both finalists for the National Coach of the Year, the Naismith National Coach of the Year Award. 4 finalists, and each are in that group. Be back after this break.
On Point Weather is made possible by our friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union on 107 The Point.
Here's tonight's forecast. Cloudy overnight with a low temp dipping down to 46. Tomorrow, mostly cloudy with a small chance of some late rain. The high is up to 72. Wednesday and Thursday could be pretty wet. Storms and some heavy rain possible. Things get real nice, though, on Friday. The weekend looks wonderful. Sunshine and highs in the mid to upper 70s. I'm Cal Moss with your On Point local weather.
If you spend as much time in your outdoor living space as I do, you should make that time truly enjoyable with new patio furniture and a new grill from Jack Oliver's Pool Spa and Patio. We offer a huge selection of high-quality, unique, brand-name patio sets, pieces, and accessories. Our top-of-the-line grills include Big Green Egg, Weber, and Traeger. It's all in stock and online at affordable prices at Jack Oliver's Pool Spa and Patio, Forest Drive and JackOliverPools.com.
The Point.
With SRN News, I'm Keith Peters reporting the United Nations Security Council issued its first demand for a ceasefire in Gaza, with the U.S. angering Israel by abstaining from the vote. Israel responded to Monday's vote by canceling a visit to Washington by a high-level delegation in the strongest public clash between the allies since the war began. Prime Minister Netanyahu accused the U.S. of retreating by allowing the vote to pass without conditioning the ceasefire on the release of hostages held by Hamas. The 4 men charged with the massacre at a Moscow theater have been identified by the Russian government as citizens of Tajikistan. They are some of the thousands who migrate to Russia each year from the poorest of the former Soviet republics to scrape out marginal existences. On Wall Street, the Dow down by 162 points. More details at srnnews.com.
Every month you get a power bill, and every time you look at it, you realize you have very little control of that bill. If you want to take some control, it's time to reach out and talk to the folks at Broker Solar. Listen, solar power is not for everyone. It is a commitment, but the rewards are well worth it, not because of the politicians and the media and the green this and the green that and that. It's worth it because it'll save you money on the long term. It'll give you control of your power bill, and there are some great tax advantages available. But you know what? You need to do your homework. Don't get fooled by the guy putting lawn signs in the grass offering something too good to be true. I've known the owners of Broker Solar for more than 20 years. I trust Ken and his team, and I believe you should too. They are local. They are legitimate. I've been to multiple homes where they've installed solar power. The technology is phenomenal, and I am a believer. See for yourself. Online, it's brokersolar.com, or call Ken at 807-7417. That's 807-7417. It's Broker Solar.
Hey y'all, this is Ted from Flight Deck Restaurant. We'd like to invite you and your family to dine with us. We have a great menu that's sure to please your whole family. We have fresh cooked burgers, big juicy wings, blue plate menu featuring country cooking, oven baked hoagies, fresh crisp salads, authentic Greek food like gyros, souvlaki, and baklava. We also carry 20 different premium cheesecakes and pies. Flight Deck Restaurant also has an arcade with 30 different games like Star Wars, Batman, Skee-Ball, Bass Wheel, Pac-Man, Galaga, and so much more. Flight Deck, your favorite family restaurant. Thanks y'all and God bless.
At Palmetto State Armory, we offer the largest selection of guns and ammunition at unbeatable prices. Our knowledgeable and friendly staff are here to provide personalized assistance, ensuring you find exactly what you need. If you enjoy outdoor activities like hunting, camping, or hiking, our clothing and outdoor gear collection has got you covered. We also feature an exceptional indoor range facility where you can experience the thrill of shooting in a safe and controlled environment. Visit us today at PalmettoStateArmory.com or your local retail store. Palmetto State Armory, American made for life.
Think of everything you do to provide for your family. A home, food on the table, healthcare, vacations, and saving for your kids' education. It's all good as long as you're alive, but it's only a drop in the bucket of what they'll need if you die without life insurance. Buying term life insurance is not something you can afford to put off. Call the Term Lifeline now for the lowest possible rates on quality term life insurance. Term life rates are at all-time lows, and we can save you up to 70%. If you already have coverage, you could be paying too much. One call could save you thousands of dollars. We have great rates for smokers, too, or if you have health problems. Providing for today is good, but it's not enough if you die prematurely. Call the Term Lifeline today for a free quote. Protect your family and see if you could save up to 70%.
866-549-TERM. 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 That's 866-549-8376.
All right, we're back on Sports Talk Media Network. Jim Toman coming up in just a second. I have to do something I hate to do, Chris. I really hate to do it. I have to correct myself on English. When I was talking about Lamont Paris and Don Staley, I said each are in the group of finalists for their respective awards. Should be each is. So you youngsters out there, each is the only way to say that, not each are. Each cannot be plural. You don't use the plural form of the verb. It has to be singular. Each is. Chris, I know you've never made that mistake before.
Oh, constantly. But you sitting here giving a lecture on English and telling people about verbs probably lost a lot of our listeners.
I just hate when I make a mistake with subject and verb construction. I don't like that.
I'm going to tell you one of the greatest little websites I've found, and I heard you and Josh talking about writing stories for the website. One of the greatest little areas, there's a cheat. It's called Grammar Check, and it's on Google. And I will go to that, and I'll run my story through. Every time I write a story for the website, I'll run it through there and get, I'm the worst at punctuation. I love commas. Way too many commas.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's a great cheat. So whoever came up with Grammar Check on the internet, thank you.
Fantastic. David Hood of TigerNet tells us that he has informed the members of their message board that the Tigers are hiring the head coach from UT Chattanooga, Sean Poppy, to be their new women's basketball coach. You know him? Are you familiar
Going
with him?
with a male. Not really. UT Chattanooga's always had a really good women's basketball program. I am a little surprised they went with a male to take over from Anna Butler.
If they wanted a real male, they'd have hired Jim Toman if they wanted a real man. But,
this is true.
That's for a different sport.
Just a bit outside. He tried the corner in this.
Yep. We're talking about a man who's all man. We welcome in Jim. In fact, he's got the word man in his name, Jim Toman. Coach Toman, welcome in. Just a bit outside.
How are you guys doing?
We're doing great. How was your weekend?
It was great. Great weekend of college baseball, no doubt about that. And, hey, I can coach basketball, too, now. I played a little bit of basketball. I think I was about 10 years old, played in the church league. Fouled out in the first half and didn't even show up for the second half. I said, that's my basketball career is over. If I can't barely touch someone and they're going to foul me out, I said, I got to stick with football and baseball.
That's funny. That's funny.
That was true.
Baseballs are flying out of the ballparks, aren't they?
Absolutely. Yeah, the scores are incredible, and it's just going to keep getting that way because the weather's warming up and it's going to get a little windy, and these guys are big, strong guys, and they're just crushing baseballs. But big week for the Tigers, especially, and the Gamecocks. It was fun to watch.
Well, go ahead and take us through your notes.
Absolutely. You got to talk about Clemson first and foremost. I mean, they went 5-0 for the week. They're number 1 in the RPI still, and I think they went up to number 2 in the country in Baseball America. They're 22-2. I think they have the number 2 strength of schedule in the country. They're 5-1 in the ACC, which is one of the top leagues in the country again. They beat Winthrop 13-3 and PC 11-1, and then they had Florida State in for a 3-game set. Florida State coming in was 19-0. Great matchup. The Tigers found themselves down in game 1, 4-0. And you guys might have talked about some of this, but game 1, they were down 4-0. They won 15-5. This is incredible. Game 2, they were down 8-1 and ended up winning 9-8. And then you're talking about another comeback. They were losing 11-2 to Florida State and came back and won 14-12. Now, it's very difficult to sweep Florida State in baseball, but to come back from 3 games like that was just unreal. So definitely a big shout out to the staff at Clemson and the baseball player team. It's just a great week for them, and it doesn't get any easier. They play Coastal Carolina, I guess on Tuesday, and then they head down to Miami. Now Miami's only 13-10, but you know darn well they're going to be good down there. So Clemson will get on the road and head to Miami this weekend. Now the Gamecocks, they didn't have quite the week Clemson did, but they swept Vanderbilt at home. So they went 4-0. They beat USC upstate. I think it was like 14-8 or something, middle of the week. And then they outscored Vandy on the weekend at Founders Park. They outscored them, I think it was 8-4, 8-3, and 10-2. So it was 26-9. And Vandy coming in, I think they were number 2 in Baseball America.
Yep.
So the Gamecocks RPI shot up to number 9. They're now 19-5. They're 4-2 in the SEC. So obviously a really good week for Coach Kingston and group. This week they have PC in the middle of the week, which is always a tough game, it seems like. And then they get on the road and go to Alabama, who's I think they're like 18-6. And I really think, Phil, that South Carolina needs to do well this weekend at Alabama because the toughest part of the schedule, I believe, is coming up in the next 3 weekends. After Alabama, they play Texas A&M at home, but they're ranked like number 5. Then they go to University of Florida, back down to Gainesville, where their season ended last year, I guess, in the Super Regionals. Florida's ranked 5 or 6. And then they have the third weekend after we get done this weekend against Alabama, they play Arkansas at home, and Arkansas is number 1. So you're looking at, Alabama is just number 11. That shouldn't be that hard. I think we can win 2 out of 3 down there, but we're going to have a good weekend because Texas A&M, UF, and Arkansas, that's kind of murderer's row right there in the middle part of the SEC season. So that's coming up sooner rather than later. And then Coastal had a little bit of a down week for them. They lost a close one to NC State in the middle of the week. I think it was 9-8. And then they went to Boone, North Carolina, which App State is a decent program, but it's probably not a whole lot of fun to play in Boone. It's probably cold. I don't know what the temperatures were, but they lost 2 out of 3 on the road. Now, that was their first road weekend, so maybe they got to get accustomed to play on the road. I think I want to say Coastal Carolina is like 17-3 at home, and now they're 1-3 on the road. So they'll get a chance. They play another big game at Clemson on Tuesday. These big games just pop up all over the place. So Coastal going to Clemson on Tuesday, and then they got to travel to Louisiana Monroe, who's 13-10. So for the big 3, Clemson had the best week. South Carolina had a great week too. And Coastal had their first bump in the road. We'll see how they respond. The other teams in the state, Charleston Southern has had a 2-2 week. They lost to Campbell in the midweek, and then they beat, I think they won 2 out of 3 at Asheville. So they're hanging in there at 4-2 in the Big South. Wofford had a pretty darn good week, 3-1. They lost to UGA, but they swept the Citadel. So they go to 3-0 in the conference. Wofford is a nice record at 16-5.
Mm-hmm.
College of Charleston is a 91 in the RPI right now. They went 2-2. They're 14-8. They had a good midweek showing on the road, their first road game, and beat Georgia Southern. But then they lost 2 out of 3 to North Carolina A&T. And look, there's a guy there, the pitching coach of North Carolina A&T was one of my assistants at Middle Tennessee State. And he's from Airport High School, went to Coker College, and was a really good pitcher. He's 6'9". His name is Forrest Arnold, and he was the pitching coach that helped North Carolina A&T beat Coach Holbrook's squad 2 out of 3 for the weekend. So a little shout out to one of my former coaches, who's a young guy that's moving up in the coaching ranks. Winthrop, they're 10-12 right now. They lost to Clemson in the midweek, but they did win 2 out of 3 at Gardner-Webb. So a good real road trip for them. They're hanging in there at 4-2 in the Big South. UC Upstate, probably their worst week so far. I mean, they're 15-10 and they're 4-2 in the Big South. But they lost at USC, and then they lost 2 out of 3 at Radford. It seems like it's a difficult road trip to play at Radford as well. But Presbyterian College, 2-2 for the week. They're 11-13. They lost to Clemson, but then they beat Longwood 2 out of 3. So they're 2-1 in the Big South. That was their first weekend in the Big South. The Citadel struggled. They didn't have a midweek game, and they got swept by Wofford, so they went to 14-8. They're 0-3 in the league. And that's basically the wrap for the in-state teams. And I have a few tidbits, and had to mention this. This guy, Tim Corbin, even though South Carolina won all 3 this weekend, going in, they were like 2 in the country. And I looked at Tim's record, and ever since the Gamecocks beat Clemson, I like to tell Tim that we scared him away from Clemson. He got the job at Vanderbilt like 21 years ago after we had beaten Clemson twice in Omaha. And Tim took the job at Vandy, and the first year was his only losing season, I believe. He was 27-28. And ever since then, I mean, the guy has had, I think, 5 trips to Omaha and won 2 national championships. And a little quick story, I know I don't have a whole much time, but during the COVID, Tim and I got to be pretty good friends because he was at Vandy and I was at Middle Tennessee State. I was only 30 miles away. and he was nice enough to let us play at Vandy and beat us every year. But I got the big guy got COVID, early on in the COVID scene, and I'm in the hospital. I get a phone call. It's Tim Corbin. I said, "What are you doing?" And I'm miserable. I had spent 8 days at home before I decided I better go to the hospital. And he said, "Well, I heard you're in the hospital," and he said, "I want to know if I can help." And I'm like, "What are you, a doctor?" And he said, "No, but I know a lot of people, and Vandy Medical Center is like the #2 hospital in the country. And if you want to be here, I can make it happen." And the next day, ambulance picked me up, and I was in a dang suite at the Vanderbilt Medical Center.
Nice.
And it was a really, really nice gesture on his part. I just got to say that not only is a Hall of Fame coach, but a Hall of Fame person as well. Just to pick up the phone and help get me, to one of the best hospitals in the country. So that was cool. I'd like also to say I don't follow basketball that much, but I think my 2 predictions are still alive. Okay, I picked Connecticut in the men's. They're winning still, right?
That's a risky one, but yeah, you're right on that one.
Okay, and the South Carolina women.
That's
are still
another
playing,
risky
right?
one. Yep, that's a risk.
Well, they're all risky. That's why I don't gamble. That's a losing proposition to gamble, so I don't do it. But I think Clemson right now is up to #2 in Baseball America. South Carolina went all the way up to 10th. I think Vandy went down to 7th, but they're still ahead of South Carolina. Sounds a little crazy, but they couldn't move them down, 10 slots or anything. So that's basically what I have today. And, it's an awesome, I tell you, college baseball, it's a little different for me, not coaching, but just watching all the games on ESPN Plus. And I went to UNC Wilmington and saw them play on Sunday, and they had a great game. They swept Elon, and I even had a $13 elephant ears. Got it from one of them. Looked like a fair truck, and I asked the lady which one was the best one. She said strawberry. I got it. It weighed about 5 pounds. Then she said $13. I said, "What is there gold in that thing?" But I'm sure it was about 3,000 calories. But I ate the whole dang thing. I know that in about an inning and a half. So if you're ever at a UNC Wilmington game, look for that truck. Some good stuff.
Only here do you get information like that. That's fantastic, Coach. That is fantastic.
That was a sleeper. That was excellent. I hadn't been to the fair in a while, but man, that brought back memories.
Well, we thank you as always. You have yourself a great week watching college baseball. We'll reconnect next Monday night.
Let's do it. You guys have a great week.
Thank you, sir. Coach Jim Tolman, as always, just a bit outside with the
man, he got fleeced.
Elephant ears and everything.
$15. He could get a cookies and cream one from the South Carolina State Fair for just $10.
Well, I'll tell you about getting fleeced. So I'm upstairs, and they gave us a voucher, a food voucher, and I went to this spot upstairs in the suite area where I was, and it was the barbecue place there. Mm-hmm. And I order, and the lady goes, "We don't take those vouchers." I said, "All right, I'll just pay for it." So a barbecue sandwich and a large Coke, $26.
Yikes.
Yeah. But it was good. It was good barbecue. All right, real quick. Dawn Staley, let you lead into this since you put it together. USC women, little trouble dispatching Presbyterian and North Carolina in the 2 games in Columbia. Now they move on to further action in the NCAA women's tournament, the Sweet 16 in Albany, New York. And Chris, lead us into what she had to say.
And you would think over the years with her team, she would not see anything that surprises her or impresses her anymore with 2 national championships and everything she's accomplished. But after the game against North Carolina yesterday and the blowout win over the Tar Heels, she was actually impressed with her team. And here's what Dawn Staley had to say.
Super excited that we got a chance to play in our building. Obviously, the energy that our fans inserted into the building really, really helped us get out to a fast start. And other than a small portion in the third quarter, I thought we put together and executed a nice game plan.
Dawn, was that first half the best you've seen this team play all year? And if not, does anything else come to mind you could even compare it to?
I don't know. We haven't played like that in a super long time, and we actually were talking about that in the coaches' locker room. Like, we haven't played well all together. Like, every single one of our players made an impact coming into the game, and we needed a performance like this. And hopefully, this playing this good of a basketball can be contagious throughout the rest of the way. I thought we did a great job of just being aggressive on both sides of the basketball, just locking in to make sure that this wouldn't be our last game.
Hey, Dawn. I know a few years ago, we had Aaliyah and Zion here regular to talk to them when they were freshmen. But how unusual is it that, it's freshmen who are kind of pushing things and leading the way these past few games?
I think it's the theme of women's basketball at this point, where you got a lot of young players who are coming in and making an impact. They grew up watching the NCAA tournament. They grew up watching the WNBA. So to get their opportunity to play on a big stage, they've prepared themselves for it. And, it's the right situation. All the freshmen that are, that are in the national spotlight, they pick good situations in which they can shine. And although this is a different kind of shine for Malaysia and Tessa, even Chloe, they see themselves as being integral parts of our success, and they didn't back down from it. Like, they could have easily. They didn't look like this in June. They built up to it, and they don't have to be receptive to it as well. But I think just the whole entire group allows them to just play their game and be held accountable for not playing their game. So I think it's a cool dynamic to our team.
Hey, Dawn, when you're up by that many points, especially in a fourth quarter, what's kind of the balance between wanting to stay engaged and maybe not pushing too hard, or feeling like you're running up anything, but also keeping the team engaged and kind of?
Yeah. At this point, we want to play good basketball. Like, I didn't, we didn't want to run up the score, but we certainly did not want to let our foot off the gas, because it's hard. It's hard to lose momentum and to gain it back. So no, we were just trying to execute, because it was a different set of players out there that's trying to execute. So they have to utilize the time that they get, just in case we need them in a situation where they need to play on both sides of the basketball and execute what we need to execute. So it isn't really about the score. It's about how it looks and what we're doing to stay productive.
Dawn, what'd you like from Camilla today? And do you feel like she handled kind of the one game absence well and was kind of back into usual form?
Camilla had a hard time with it, to be quite honest. Like, she felt like she let her team down, and she's almost embarrassed by not being able to play. And no matter how much we tried to shake her out of it, only basketball, only getting back out there and running up and down and hearing the ovation from the crowd even got her a little emotional at the beginning of the game. She is she's a kind-hearted person, and it was so much unlike her. So I'm happy that she got over that part of it, and now we can move on, and we'll be at a neutral site, and she can just kind of focus in on what she needs to do to help us continue to win.
All right, comments from Dawn Staley. Also, speaking of USC women's sports, the USC women's golf team playing in the Old Barnwell Derby match play defeated Mississippi State in their first match 3-1-1. That was in the first round. And in the second round, the Gamecocks defeated Florida State 3-1-1. So they will play Duke tomorrow for the championship, beginning at 8:30 in the morning. There you go. Recruiting now, brought to you by Seawells. Boy, I miss Seawells. Food in Memphis is good, but they don't have Seawells. They just don't have a place like Seawells. I mean, Beale Street is fine, but it's not Rosewood Drive, Chris. It is not Rosewood Drive.
Few folks do. Very few folks. Matter of fact, outside of Columbia, no one does.
They don't have the Rocket on Beale Street, you know.
They do not.
You know. They do have a lot of blues, but not the Rocket. And they don't have Seawells. We have Seawells in South Carolina. You need to get to Seawells tomorrow, any day this week, for the daily luncheon buffet, every day, 11 till 2. And for the very best in the catering business, make sure you give Seawells a phone call at 803-771-7385 online at SeawellsCateringSC.com. Well, the big news in basketball recruiting, Michi Johnson, USC star guard, is in the transfer portal, John. Planning to move on, might test the NBA waters as well, but apparently his days in Columbia are done. Also, Furman forward Alex Williams has entered the transfer portal, John. That's a new one. And let's see here. Is anybody else new there? Oh, that's it as far as the basketball today. Football. Over the weekend, USC target tight end Marshall Pritchett of Charleston committed to North Carolina. He goes to school in Rabun Gap, Georgia. USC 2026 target quarterback Jared Curtis of Nashville committed to Georgia. 2025 linebacker A.J. Holloway of Buford, Georgia, was at USC Saturday. He also visited USC for a junior day in January. He's also made unofficials to Georgia Tech and Florida. The Gamecocks offered last December. He plans to take an official in June. Clemson target defensive end Isaiah Gibson visiting Southern Cal over the weekend, and he committed to the Trojans. I think that might have been a bit of a surprise. We'll see if it sticks. But now he is a Southern Cal commitment. Cornerback Brandon Finney of Owings Mills, Maryland, has an official set with USC June 21st. He made an unofficial visit on March 19th. He also has an official with Penn State June 7th. He's made unofficials to Penn State, and he made two unofficials to Penn State January 20th and March 16th. Center Isaac Souls of Louisville was at USC Saturday, along with Lancaster offensive tackle Kevin P. And today at Clemson, wide receiver Dylan Alfred of Saraland, Alabama, was in for a visit. That'll do it. Thank you, Chris.
Yes, sir.
And thank you, Josh. Have a great night, everybody. See you tomorrow.
WQXL Columbia, W264DF.
Grills, outdoor kitchens, and fire